Hello everyone, I am Katia with Lunar Sun Creations and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to begin a 10-minute Christmas card series. I don't know how many of these I'm going to have in the series, but I'm going to have quite a few. We are starting off with some simple watercolor cards. So I've got a really basic watercolor set. It's from Art Philosophy. I got it on, I can't remember where I got it actually, but it's a pretty basic set. And then I've got two different kinds of watercolor paper. I've got this Color Factory paper. I think it's a 90-pound cold pressed. And then I've got a Fabriano, and it is 140 cold pressed. The Fabriano is from an actual art store. The other watercolor paper is just from the dollar store, although it was like $8. And then I've got a bunch of different brushes. Don't ask me what they're called because I don't know. I'm not a watercolorer. I'm just playing around today. So, all right. So I'm going to start by just spritzing a couple of the colors on my watercolor palette. I'm going to be working with the greens. So I'm just going in with the lime green to start, and I've got my fan brush and I'm just kind of like etching out the shape of the tree to start, just kind of like where I want it on that paper. So this is just a very rough figuring out of where my tree is going to go. And then I've got a little bit more paint on the brush, and I'm kind of just like dancing the fan brush up to the top, like tipping it back and forth, and kind of creating the lines down the sides, and it actually looks like a tree. So now I'm going in with a little bit more of the paint, and then I think I start adding some deeper colors as well, so it's not just one shade. Yeah, so here I'm going in with some, I've got some moss and sand both on my brush at the same time. And I'm kind of doing the same thing that I did before and kind of like dancing my brush back and forth, trying to just create little splotches. And then I decided it needed just a tiny bit of blue. So I'm going in with a tiny bit of blue just to like evergreen it up a little bit, darken it up just a little bit. And then I just use some brown to create a little trunk. Perfect. Looks like a tree, and then I set that aside to dry. And there it is after I've used some brushos to add a little bit more to it. And then this is another tree that I did that's a little bit darker. And I had added a little bit of white paint to that one to make some snowflakes. And now I'm going in and just creating a bunch of different kind of like rectangle shapes. These will become presents. So for the first one, I added quite a bit of water down and then did my rectangle, and it just blurred out a little bit too much. So I just went over it one more time just because I wanted them to have like fairly defined shapes. So I'm going in with, I didn't write these colors down, some purples and blues. You can use whatever colors you like. All right, so these are meant to look like presents, so I'm going to set that aside and I'll show you in a second what I've done. I've gone over with some Posca pens, and I did two of these ones as well. So one in gold and one in silver just to make them look like a bunch of presents. And now I'm moving on to some brushos because I wanted to try a few different ways to watercolor. So the brushos, I'm using yellow and some gamboge, I think is how you pronounce it. It's kind of like an orangey color. And then red and leaf green, and I think it was some Ost blue. So I'm just going over, and this is supposed to look like a string of Christmas lights, was my intention. So that's kind of what I'm going with here. They really start to come to life when I use the Posca pens after and add like the definition and the outline to them, then they actually look what they're meant to look like. Keep in mind, I am not a watercolor artist. So there is a second one. I kind of did two of each kind as I was going. Okay, and here's what they look like after I have added an outline and a string. Now I'm going to try some distress oxides. So I've got some rustic wilderness and some candied apple, and then I added a little bit of amethyst shimmer in the Nouveau Sparkle Spray, I think it was. Or that was Dilutions. So it wasn't amethyst shimmer. I'm not sure what I added something in there just to like make it not quite so candy apple red. I wanted a little bit more deeper color to it. So I'm just creating some large holly leaves here. I missed actually the leaf painting, but you can see what I've done there. It's pretty basic. I outline these in a gold Posca pen and then actually cut them out. And then I do this pattern, which is like a more swirly holly pattern. And I outline this in gold. And I'm sorry I missed getting this on camera. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, it's a basic holly pattern just with some swirls. And then I use the large holly pieces that I painted and cut them out and add them to this card to give it some more dimension. You can kind of see it up there in the top right corner, and I add a little bit more to it in a couple minutes. That's the beginning of it. And then I've got this Happy Holidays. It's from a chipboard set that I've had for years. I've actually got it from my mom many years ago, so I don't know where it's from. It was made by K and Company, I believe. But it's a very old set, like many years old, so I don't know. It's probably not even still made. But I put that down to add some dimension, and then I use a couple more of the little holly pieces. I cut this off the sides and then use those pieces in other parts of the card, and then I add it to a red card base. Well, I back it on some red cardstock and then put it on a card base. So this is a 5x7 card. So I backed it all on foam tape. And the red cardstock is actually a shimmer cardstock from Tim Holtz. All right, and there is that card. I really like the way that one turned out. And now for the Christmas tree cards. I decided I wanted to add a little bit extra to this, so I'm taking some red ribbon, and I've got some brads there on the top left, you can see them. And I'm just kind of cutting pieces of ribbon and gluing them on, and I'm cutting them at an angle so that they kind of match the edge of the tree. And so I'm just going to do this kind of all the way down the tree, and then I'll put brads where the ribbon meets up with the next piece. And then I add a Merry Christmas sentiment, and that is from a brushed greetings stamp set from Stampendous. So I'm just using my Misty, I'm glad I did because this was a new stamp that I hadn't used before, and I ended up stamping it, I think, 4 times before I got a really clear impression. So I was so happy that I hadn't just tried doing this on an acrylic block. I would have been so frustrated. It took a while to get a really good image. But there, finally I got it. And then I just put it on a card base. This is also a 5x7 card in the end. Pretty. I love it. And then, oh, I'm showing you that one again. I guess I'm going through the cards now. Yeah, I am. I added some sparkle bling and bows to these ones to make them look like more like presents. I think they actually do look like presents. I'm quite happy with that. And the sentiment is from the holiday flower from Altenew. I've got a couple cards. I think the other present sentiment is also from that set. Oh, nope. It's a Season's Greetings, also from that first stamp set that I showed you. And then the light bulbs, they actually look like light bulbs. I like them. I used a Posca pen to add just a little bit of extra shimmer to them. And the sentiment is from that photo play set that I just showed you. A whole bunch of ephemera pieces. And this Making Spirits Bright is from the Stampendous, the Stampers Anonymous Bold Tidings stamp set. And then I just added some colored bling along the edges of that. And then this one I did off screen. It was supposed to look like baubles from the tree, and I used a couple different colors of shimmer spray. I just didn't like the way it turned out as well, so I didn't show it. But it turned out okay after the Posca pen. I just thought that the shapes of my baubles were a little off. And here we have our tree cards all finished. I used one of the ephemera pieces from the photo play Winter Memories and used a Posca pen and a little bit of white paint to add some snow. And here are all of the cards all together. I think they turned out amazing, and I'm so proud of myself. If I can watercolor, you can definitely watercolor. Anyone can do this. So I'm really happy with them. And there's going to be quite a few cards in these series, so keep an eye out for them. Have an amazing day, and I send you lots of love. Bye.